Hey everyone, Kathy Lanzalaco here from Inspire Careers with another episode of Inspire Careers Spotlight on Careers, the video podcast series where I share important career related information to educate, inspire, and entertain people that are listening. Thank you for listening. And I'm here to be a help to professionals and executives at all levels and all stages of their career journey. So thank you for joining us today. Oftentimes, I interview other career professionals and help them share their messages with the audience. But today, I am just talking one on one with you, and I have some really important information for you today. So let's get right into it. Oftentimes people come to me because they have been let go from a job, they have quit voluntarily, they want to gain some clarity around their current career path and explore a whole different realm of work that they want to do. There's a lot of different reasons people come to me. Career exploration, gaining the clarity for a new job. A lot of young job seekers, recent college grads. I do a lot of work with them. However, today's message is really about people that are currently have a job and they want to explore their opportunities. So they're doing it on the down low. They're a confidential job seeker. So the question is, how do you keep that job search confidential, but still get the results you need? You've already got a 40 an hour a week job, right? Maybe more. You got a family, you got other stuff going on. How are you going to be able to keep it all under wraps until you are ready to discuss it with your employer? Controlling your own information is critical. So I've got 10 tips for you how you're going to do that today. And I think a lot of people are going to relate to this because the old saying is true. There's never a better time to find a job than when you have one. So, let's talk about how you can best go about doing that. So, first of all, the key to success in a confidential job search is number one, keep it discreet. So, oftentimes people start a search while they have another job because they're ticked off about something that's happened at work. They didn't get the promotion, they didn't get the raise, whatever opportunity they thought was going to come their way has not. So, they get upset about that. So, what I'm here to say is that make your intentional decision, or even if it is a response to that, you still do not want your boss to know about it. So be discreet. And that means keep your circle of trust tight. Do not be telling everybody, even if you're unhappy. That's really the most important time to keep it quiet because you may decide later on in your search that you've kind of gotten over it and you really don't want to go ahead and do that, but you've let the cat out of the bag, as it were. So just be very cautious about who you talk to. The closer your circle of trust, the less likely anybody else is going to find out about it. And again, this is about controlling the narrative on your terms. Last thing you want somebody to do is go tell your boss, "Oh, did you hear, Joe in accounting is pissed off?" That is the last thing you want to have happen. And how many times have you played that game as a young kid where you're standing in a circle, you have 10 or 20 people around you, and one person says one sentence, and then everybody has to repeat that around the circle. By the time it gets back to the original author of that sentence, the message is completely different. That's exactly what happens in an office situation, too. So you want to control your information. When you decide to have that conversation with your boss, that should be on your timetable and on your own terms. Do not let other people do it. So, number one, be discreet. You think you can trust people? You cannot. It becomes juicy office gossip quickly. Keep it to yourself. So, the second thing that I'm encouraging you to do, update your resume and LinkedIn profile. Get those done before you start shooting off your old resume. And being proactive with these two things can change the entire trajectory of your job search. So if your resume has not been updated in a long time, or if it hasn't even been updated with the current job that you have, just take some time, step back, take time to get that updated. Make sure that it really focuses on your value offering. That's whether you work with me or you decide to do it on your own. It is an investment in your time and in your career. You get more money with a more fabulous resume. And the last thing you want to do is to be shooting this out to people and not put your best foot forward. So, absolutely do that. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you are missing the boat. Because while you're actively conducting your job search, confidential or otherwise, LinkedIn should be working for you. It should be doing work for you, pulling in recruiters for you to have better conversations. And if it's not doing that, then there's a lot of opportunity there. So you can keep it a lot more confidential if you are doing these things that are kind of working for you behind the scenes. So when you're applying for a job with a really strong resume, you're going to have to apply for less jobs. It just is the way it is. So keep that in mind. Number 3, network. And let's take the mystique out of network. And you say, well, wait a minute, I'm confidential and plus I hate networking. Let's change that word perhaps to just talk to people, have conversations with people. If you haven't been to an industry meeting or a conference in a while, ask to go. Be the one to volunteer to do those morning BNI meetings or whatever it is that your organization is involved in. And a lot of times we can get kind of what I call fat and happy in our jobs, where we kind of put it on autopilot. Well, now is not the time to be doing that. So you know what is the best outlet for networking for you, for the business, and for the type of goals that you have for your next level of your career. Start doing that. Start having conversations with people. Think about the organizations that you want to work for. Targeting organizations is such a better way to find a job than just randomly shooting out resumes for job titles. So start talking to those people. Be cautious again, though, who you trust. We want people to be able to keep our information confidential. The only people you can really count on to do that, hopefully your spouse and recruiters, you can count on to do that, particularly third party recruiters, because they base their careers and their businesses on being discreet. So we're going to, I am also going to tell you to talk to recruiters, but this piece of the conversation for networking is about be careful just who you trust, but start being seen. You want to be top of mind for people. So get yourself out there, get yourself to those breakfasts, to those after hour things that maybe you're in the past, you're like, oh, I just can't do it anymore. Well, I'm going to encourage you to start getting back out there, do it slowly, even if you have to. So that when you start doing it more, it doesn't become a big red flag about what you're doing out there. So the next one is number 4. Use your lunch breaks. Um, and when I say lunch break, I mean out of the office, if you have that ability to do that, and certainly after hours to do your job search. I never advocate doing your job search while you are at work. That is a major no-no for a couple reasons. First and foremost, that's not what you're getting paid to do. And you are getting paid to give good time. That is what you should be doing at work. And 2, you will get found out. You know that everything you do on your company assets is subject to having somebody see it, and you will get called out on it. So that it's just not the right thing to do from an ethical standpoint as well as from a security standpoint. So if you want to take informational calls, you want to take an interview on your lunchtime that you're getting, that you're not getting paid for to do that, go do that. Absolutely. But make sure you're back to work on time. So you always just want to be able to work around that and not spend time at work searching and doing that kind of stuff. It will never turn out to be a good thing. The next thing, number 5, I'm going to tell you is be selective. When you have a job is a great time to find another job. We said that, right? And you know this. However, if you're in a really bad situation, maybe you're in a really toxic work environment, maybe you know that the company's getting restructured and your time there is numbered, or you think that it's going to be. It's really tempting to take a first job offer just to get out of the situation. But that old saying too about jumping from the frying pan into the fire, right? That's not where you want to be. Be very cautious, be selective. You still have a job at this moment. So direct your efforts whenever you're doing those. If it's on the weekends, after hours, however that turns out to be convenient for you, think about what you really want. Take the time to step back. Why am I looking for another job? What companies do I really want to work at? What's my main value offering? And who can I be talking to be able to help me in that regard? That'll cut down on a lot of the time for you. So try not to just take something to get out of your current situation. At the end of the day, everyone has to make their own decisions, and maybe it is a better decision for you. But I hate to see you get in from one situation into a worse situation. So just think about that and be cautious about that. Number 6, back to the recruiter piece. Develop relationships with recruiters. They can be your huge advocate and a help during your search. So before you talk to them, though, get that resume updated, get your LinkedIn updated. Because if you go to them and say, look, I want an vice president of operations job, they're going to ask to see your resume. They want to be able to show it to a client if they have a job that's available. Well, they don't want to show your crappy resume to anybody, and they're not going to show an outdated one. So get it updated. And oftentimes recruiters may have formatting services that they offer, but it's not going to take that deep dive. They're not going to help you develop their whole story. They're there to help their clients, which are the employers. So you want to put your best foot forward with them. But I'm also going to tell you, be very honest with them. And what I mean by that is tell them what you're looking for. Don't give them, double talk about what you want when you really don't want it. Develop your target ahead of time. They're not career counselors. They're not there to hear your whole life story. They want to know, can they be the matchmaker between their client, the employer, and you? Where can they find that sweet spot where it's a win-win for everybody? So you want to be that person, but how can they know that unless you really show up strong? But a lot of these jobs are not posted. Have you ever heard that term, the hidden job market? Well, the hidden job market is where these jobs are that you may never hear about, jobs that aren't posted publicly, jobs that want to be filled, the companies want to fill with internal candidates. A lot of times, these third party recruiters have these jobs that you're never going to see elsewhere. You're never going to know unless you talk to them, but show up strong because, like anything else, you may only get a first chance, right? The one chance to make that first impression. Number 7, be honest. Be honest with yourself about why you're leaving. Be honest with the people that you talk to. If you have another job, talk to people about that. If you get an interview, let them know, but be discreet again. Let's, keep that line of professionalism. Don't be talking about problems at work. Nobody wants to hear that. Don't be sharing, TMI, too much information. Again, construct your story so that you're being honest with people and honest about your runway. So let's say that the organization, that restructuring, and you've already been told, look, my out date is X date and I can't leave for 6 months yet. Be honest with people. Oftentimes they'll work with you on that. But if you're dancing around those dates and you're trying to manipulate one on the other, it's probably not going to turn out well for you. So really think about that and work to just be completely transparent about what your timeline is too, and it will work out better for you and less drama, less everything. Number 8, never ever ever badmouth your employer. I know, everybody says, well, I know this, I wouldn't do it, and yet it happens. And yet, recruiters or in people that are interviewing you, hiring managers, they can tell when you're even kind of putting that out there, even kind of on the download about talking nasty, talking smack about your employer. So get your story ready ahead of time. Construct the stories that present you in a good light, but also allow your employers to be shown in a good light. Doesn't mean you have to align all the time, but don't be throwing them under the bus. Don't be complaining about what's your job, what's not going well for you. Nobody wants to hear it. If you're a problem or people think that you're a problem at one place, they're going to think you're a problem at the next. It's not a position that you want to be in. So never, ever, ever do that. Listen, a lot of companies come with these reputations already. So if you're leaving an organization where there's already been a mass exodus, you don't have to explain that. People get it. And these interviewers, these recruiters, they get it too. They understand, but you don't want to be the one to put up the big flag and start complaining. Never, ever do it. I don't care how bad your situation is. There's never a time to do it. Always take the high road about that. Number 9, keep your work product high. Never want to put the spotlight on yourself that, Kathy or whoever is slacking on the job. You never want that to happen. You never want anybody to be able to come to you with a reason to get rid of you because they felt like you're just you're completely disengaged. And even if you're not ready to make a move, that's not a conversation that you probably want to have. So control that. Think about how you can continue to be engaged till the very last minute. Do good work. Look at some of this is even just about putting out great karma to the universe. And isn't that a great thing? Because then you'll bring in better opportunities to you. But think more long term. You want your employer to say good things about you. So if they're asked for a reference, or even if they're simply asked that question, would you rehire them? You want to be able to leave that on a positive note. So keep that work product high. Don't be slacking off. Don't be showing up late to work. These kind of things will harm you. You don't want to be there. And then finally, beware of the counter offer, right? So this happens a lot more than you might think. And this is not a good reason to be conducting a job search either. Now, that is different. Hear me out here. That's different than being aware of what the market is paying and having conversations with people about opportunities at different companies to just kind of know what people are paying, what the jobs look like, the landscape for a certain job. That's different. But if you're applying for jobs simply to be able to hold it over your employer's head, that can be a really dangerous strategy. But the counter offer is when you have landed another job and you go to your boss and you say, "Here's my 2-week notice. I'm going to XYZ company." And they say, "Tell me what it's going to take. Tell me what it's going to take to keep you here." Many cases, it's the money. That's where people generally go first. It's the money. And they'll say, "Well, what are they going to be paying you over there?" "I'll match it. I'll match it and I'll give you another 10% even some cases." Right? Well, my message to that is if they wanted to pay you that money, they would have already been paying you that money. So is that really the way that you want to earn that money now? If they didn't value enough you to pay you that money before, or to offer you what other reason that you may be leaving, whether it's you want to work remotely, you want more time off, you want more autonomy, whatever the circumstance is, different title, I don't know. If they wanted that, they could have given it to you. So if they haven't done that before, particularly when it comes to the money, since they control the money, think about that. And if you accept that offer, that counter offer, now you've burned that bridge with the other employer that had offered you the better situation. And you've also tipped your hand to your current employer that you have been unhappy and that you're looking elsewhere. And how happy are you going to be? How long are you going to be happy with that money? Because that money will go away eventually. And then what's that next threshold? Are you going to get that raise when everybody gets their raises next month? Or are they going to say, "Ooh, we just gave you a $5,000 raise. You're not getting that." So it'll only make you happy for so long until the next level of how much you should be getting paid. So think about that. It doesn't last long. So the counter offer is generally does not work out long term, and you will find yourself looking again in the future that it happens over and over again. So listen, when you're on a confidential job search, it's easy. I mean, it's a good position to be in. If you don't have to leave or you don't have to leave today, you control the narrative, you control the timeline, you control the people that you talk to. It's all good. It's all good. And I had a boss 25 years ago that said to all of us, "I think all of you should be interviewing 4 times a year. See what you're worth, see what's going on out there." And this was way before, this was before LinkedIn, years before LinkedIn. So maybe it's even longer than that. Before LinkedIn and before, we had the landscape, the economic landscape that we're dealing with today. But years ago, he said that practice your interviewing skills, keep them up, learn what's happening in your industry. So he was really preparing us for the future and for really being able to consider ourselves that business of one. And that if you don't take control of your own career, you cannot expect anyone else to. And as good as your boss might be, as wonderful as your manager is, as many developmental opportunities as you have, the minute it does not become advantageous to the company, that's all gone. So you have to be the one to own your career and not expect anybody else to do it for you. Young folks out there listening, take a lesson from older people that are complaining about their careers. Oftentimes, they've left their career development in the hands of someone else. Training is always a wonderful thing to do. Networking, engaging, conferences. People can't take away from you what you're putting into your head, what you're putting into your heart. You take that wherever you go. So if they're not going to pay you extra money, If you've asked for a raise and they're not going to give it to you, try to negotiate for something else that's going to help you on a more long-term basis. You may still end up looking for that job anyway, but you also want things that are going to develop you for that next opportunity. So think about that. We are all a business of one, no matter who we work for, no matter what industry we are in. So own that and own your power. All right, that's all I had to say for today. If you are a confidential job seeker, get those tools updated. You never want to have to walk into an office and find out that your time is limited and you are not prepared. And if something does happen at work and you are unhappy, you always want to be in a position to move on, start making new decisions tomorrow. And if you do not have your tools in place to do that, then you are wasting time, and time is money. So think about that ahead of time. That's something you can absolutely start doing today. All right. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about this, reach out. Don't forget to ring the bell here to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram too, if you prefer that. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And until we meet again, live inspired.